My name is Cindy Bloom, and I am part of a campaign called Now We Know. My question for you is, do you know? Do you know about the hazards of sanitary napkins? I'm about to do a demonstration that's going to demonstrate why you should try wearing the newly introduced Cherish sanitary napkin, which is this pad, because this is the world's most comfortable pad that keeps you drier than ever. So let's talk about this. You got two pads here. Sanitary napkin. This is basically the type of sanitary napkin that you'll buy at the store. It's a 10-hour pad. I want you to notice, number one, the difference in thickness. The one in my right hand, which is the orange one, is really much thicker than what I'm calling the Cherish pad. Another thing I want to show you about the difference in the pads. If you notice the sanitary napkins that you buy in the stores, on the shelves, they all have this little piece of tape to seal it. But what you may not notice is that it's just really a piece of tape to actually seal it. Because I can actually stick my finger in here. And what happens is, as ladies, we put these in our purses or maybe in our diaper bags or wherever. And because they're open, they often get dirty. And I don't know, for me, that's not too sanitary when it's been in my purse and there's makeups and there's crumbs. And I know that in terms of hospital, I don't know that they call it sanitary. But anyways, sanitary napkin, I'm going to open it up and I'm just going to put it out here. Standard 10-hour pad, like I said. Common brand. I'll explain this green stuff in just a second. I'm just going to put this 10-hour pad right here on the table for you. And then I'm going to take the Cherish pad, and the first thing I'm going to show you is it is completely sealed, 100% sealed. You can't even get your finger in here. And the reason why ours are able to be sealed is I have been told that the adhesive glue that they use to seal the other sanitary napkins is the same strength as adhesive duct tape. And that adhesion, if they were to seal it, it would cause like the bag to actually poof out and you wouldn't actually be able to seal it. And then you wouldn't be able to get as many in a package. Okay, so ours is completely sealed and I'm going to put it side by side. Both have wings on them to secure them. So that's what I'm going to do, secure them to the table. Now, if you were to feel both of these pads, you would feel that the one on the right here is rough. It's very coarse, and if I were to sit and go as I'm doing this, I'm feeling heat and abrasion, and it's getting really uncomfortable. On the other hand, when I place my hand on our Cherish pad, this is a beautiful, this is cotton, this is soft, and you could like pet it all day long, and you're not going to get irritated. Hence why we say it's very comfortable. Now, let's talk about absorbency, because that's really what we want to talk about. What I've done here is I've used a little green food coloring, because when I've done this demonstration in the past with plain water, it's hard for people on the camera to maybe see the colors when I try and show you the lines and the amount. So all this is here is water that I put some green food coloring in, just to give you a better view of the water. And why water? Because I'm going to use this water to demonstrate absorbency, because what we have been told by gynecologists is that a gynecologist says that a woman typically will produce somewhere between 15 and 50 milliliters of fluid on average when they have their menstrual flow, of course through that 8-hour time span that you would wear a pad. So what I've done here is I have my measuring cup, and I have this green water to represent the actual fluid. And if you look here on the cup, you'll be able to see me pour, and that's why I have the green, because you'll be able to see the lines. I'm just gonna do this and then I'll show it to you. Okay, so this one doesn't actually have a 50 milliliter thing, but there's 100, and underneath you'll see the red line. This is 50 milliliters of fluid. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this on the pad to represent the fluid of a woman's flow now. And it's just green water. I'm pouring it on. Now, what I'm going to tell you about these pads as I'm pouring this liquid out, this pad is white. Remember I told you that it felt really coarse and stuff? Well, it's white and it looks white because it's been bleached. But what it actually is, it's not cotton. It is actually, and you can do the research yourself, but when I researched it, it told me that it's actually recycled trash and garbage that goes through a 4-step bleaching process. A lot of fluid to put on here. A 4-step bleaching process where at the end it puts actually chlorine bleach. And when chlorine bleach gets wet, it releases a very poisonous toxin called dioxin. And dioxin, look it up yourself, can cause several things. No medical claims. Do your research. Check out the hazards of dioxin. Okay, so now that I poured the 50 milliliters there, I'm going to do the same thing, okay, and put 50 milliliters of the fluid. And then again, I'm hoping that you can see, because I've used green, that we are at 50 milliliters, okay? So I'm going to take the 50 milliliters and I'm going to pour it on our Cherish pad and do the same exact thing. And this is probably the hardest part for me, is pouring and staying in the lines. Now, most of the people who wear pads, who have worn pads, say they don't like them. Why? Because they're uncomfortable. They feel like they're wet. They feel bulky. They feel like maybe people can see the thickness, like within the pants. And that's why I didn't like pads when I had my feminine flow. Oops, here we go. It's very hard to stay in the lines. Here we go. Okay, so here I put both 50 milliliters on both pads. Now what I have here are 2 paper towels. And I'm just going to check the absorbency, meaning how I would feel if this was against my body. So on this exhibit A, or not the Cherish pad, when I put my hand, can you see what's going on? It's completely wet. My hand's wet. I even have moisture on my hand. And when I pick it up, you can see that this is completely wet. But what did you expect? I just poured 50 milliliters of water on this, okay? So even though it says it's a 10-hour pad, it didn't keep me dry at all, or the napkin dry, and it wouldn't keep you dry. I'm going to do the same thing with the Cherish pad, and I'm going to put it there, and I'm going to do the same thing. But if you notice with the Cherish pad, I'm actually putting some pressure on it, okay? And you know what? If you're going to pick it up, it's dry. It is literally dry. I can run my hand on this. I could put the paper towel on this again. This thing is dry, okay? This or this? Which would you rather have on your body that you're wearing? This wet one or this dry one? Now let's just talk about the pads a little bit more. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take apart the pads. It's a really kind of weird thing, taking apart pads. Never thought I would do this, but I just kind of want you to understand what is going on inside all the pads. So when you take apart these pads, there is a top layer here, that we felt. Okay, and if you would literally feel this, this is coarse. This hurts. This is not soft. This is what's rubbing against a woman's body. It's actually not cotton. Okay, it's I think it's like an acrylic. I don't know what it is. It's not cotton. It's not soft. It's certainly not comfortable. The next thing they have here is part of their absorbency system. But what it is literally a piece of paper that has some sort of absorbency help. But guess what? It has blue dye. And when this blue dye gets wet, which it is sopping wet, I'll show you how it's still sopping wet. You can see that it's still seeping through the cloth. Still sopping wet, this absorbency thing. Guess what happens with blue? It's blue dye. It's wet. It's down in a woman's private parts. Chances and likelihood of it going into a woman's body is pretty high. Wouldn't want it. Okay, this now we are left with what they call their absorbency system. That's actually supposed to hold and absorb everything. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have 2 cups of water. One of them has substantially more water than the other one. I hope you guys would agree that the cup on the left has more water than the cup on the right. So what I'm going to do is take the cup that has the least amount of water and put the store-bought absorbency system and let it do its job and absorb that water. And then show you the very bottom of our pad, of the store-bought pad. There's still a little bit, some of this. Let's help it out and make sure we get all of this absorbency system in there. I'll even throw in the little blue thing, okay? Help you out, absorb. What's left here on the bottom is literally a plastic bag. This is a garbage bag, okay? This is what you get when you go shopping. I can't break it. It's a plastic bag. It's not gonna go. It's not good for the environment. And I gotta tell you something, when you are wet down here, and it's not breathable, and you're sitting in a plastic trash bag, and your body heat is 98.6 degrees, that is complete breeding ground for infection. Just saying. Moving on to the Cherish pad, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to dissect the Cherish pad. Do the same exact thing. Dissecting pads, here we go. All right, so remember I told you it was really soft to the touch, which it is. I'm going to take that very soft to the touch top layer of our Cherish pad and show it to you. Okay? So this, oops, I don't want to take out this. This is not the top layer. Top layer here has holes. And like I told you, this is cotton. It's breathable cotton. Soft, comfortable to the touch, dry. Okay, this is still dry. I could put it on a paper towel. This is dry as can be. Nothing's going to wet. And breathable and rippable. Comfortable. Second layer of our Cherish pad is what we call the kind of like a microchip on a computer. This is like the miracle strip. And what this is a natural algae strip. So this is natural. This is no bleach in here. And it is actually infused with negative ions and nanocellular technology. And you do the research on what those things can do to you. But what I'll just say is negative ions are vitamins of the air, that help you feel really good when you're at the beach or after a rain shower, that tranquil, really relaxing feeling. That's negative ions, and they are infused in here. And I have been told by several people that this is what we believe it really helps with the odors of the pad, as well as many other things. But go ahead, do your research and check that out yourself. Okay, then on our Cherish pad, we have this several layers. So what I'm going to show you is that we have this air-laid paper, several layers of it. And in between the air-laid paper is our absorbency system. So I'm going to take out the air-laid paper. I'm just going to turn it around so it makes it easier. And I'll show you the paper to get to our actual absorbency system, which is right here. And I'm going to roll up our absorbency system here, just like I did the other. I'm going to put it in the cup that had, obviously, more water. Oops, and let it do it. Okay, so this is the air-laid paper that surrounded the absorbency system. It's soft, it's cotton, it's breathable, and it's just added extra layers of protection to the Cherish pads. And this is really the beauty here, because the bottom of our pad is not plastic at all. If you look really closely, I'm going to come close to the camera, maybe you can see, there are like razor strips on here. Really, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but those razor strips represent a breathable bottom. So if I were to take steam would go through, but wetness won't go out. So it's protective, it's breathable. You're not having that bacteria trapped. But you also don't have to worry about that because you're dry. And like I said, this isn't plastic. It rips and it's breathable. And that's the beauty of our Cherish pads. Now, as we wrap this up real quickly, I want to show you what's going on with the absorbency systems here. So, if you remember, I had two different substantial amounts of water in these cups when I put the absorbency system. This one, if you remember, had just a very little bit of water in it, while this one here on the right had, excuse me, your right, my left, had more water in it. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to see how well they absorb. So I'm going to take out this one, which was a 10-hour, and I'm going to see if any, what comes out. And as you can see, because it's green water, that there's quite a bit, and if I were to squeeze it, I can get quite a bit more out. Okay, and there you go. If I'm looking at absorbency, so like, it looks like here there's 25 milliliters that is left in here. Okay, so I'm going to pour this back into here. Maybe it will absorb. But we're going to now check this cup. And if you remember, this has been in here a lot less time than this one. And when I turn this one over, there's no water coming out, because our absorbency system is thebomb.com. This is a safe polymer. Okay, so that's what it is. It's a safe polymer that is super absorbent. And I'm even going to see how much more absorbent it can be. It already held a lot more liquid than this one did. And I, like I said, can take this, and I'm pretty confident. Let's just see if I can get more out. Pretty confident that when I turn this over, it's going to be dry. So, voila. If I want, I can pop it out in here and kind of make a polymer cone. But I can pop it back in. There is no liquid here. That is the beauty. So, my question now is, what would you rather have on your body? Because I know what I want is to only be wearing Cherish pads.